Welcome to A Delhi Love, Ishq Mohabbat Pyar, the podcast that treats Delhiwalas to captivating conversations on living and loving all things Delhi. Delhi is not just a place, it's a state of mind, an attitude that leaves a mark on everyone who visits or calls it home. I'm Yasmin Kidwai, your host, a documentary filmmaker, former municipal councillor, and at heart, the quintessential Delhi girl. I love how Delhi is both old and new at the same time. I value its history and heritage and love exploring the new aspects of the city we share. I'm no expert, but I grew up in the gullies here, enjoyed public service here, and just like you, shared a deep passion for Delhi's enigmatic soul. Together, let's embrace the delightful contradictions that make Delhi the city it is. After all, around every corner, there must be 1,000 dastans to share in this megacity of a million conversations. Delhi is famous for its love of food, and over time, our tastes have evolved to keep up with changing trends. Previous generations would venture out to enjoy spicy street food like chaat, golgappe, aloo tikki, and chole bhature. For the more adventurous foodies, a trip to Old Delhi was a must, to experience classic dishes from places like Parathe Wali Gali, Old famous Jalebi Wala, Al Jawahar, and many more. As standalone restaurants began to appear on the scene, families began to eat out and entertain their friends. Places like Moti Mahal, Gaylord, Quality, and Kareem's became popular destinations for those seeking good Indian food. The rise of coffee shop culture also took place during this time, with places like Machan at the Taj heralding a time when coffee joints would become popular hangouts for friends. With liberalization, the world opened up for us, and restaurants like Big Chill in Khan Market and Flavors in Defense Colony introduced us to Western cuisines beyond what was considered continental. In time, five-star hotels with signature restaurants like Bukhara began to be seen as the standard bearers of Indian fine dining. All these tastes existed side by side, finding a place in the hearts of Delhi's foodies. And now it feels like Indian cuisine has finally come of age, with fine dining restaurants like Indian Accent bringing India's food diversity and versatility home to us all, while also taking exceptional Indian food to the global stage. Indian celebrity chefs have now arrived. Today we have the opportunity to meet the visionary chef behind Indian Accent in New Delhi, the only Indian food restaurant to feature on Asia's 50 best restaurants list for nearly a decade. Time magazine has also recognized Indian Accent as one of the world's 100 greatest places. Manish Mehrotra is called the Culinary King, and his inventive interpretations of classic Indian dishes have earned him numerous accolades, nationally and internationally. He is credited with creating an innovative cuisine, combining authentic Indian flavors with Pan-Asian and Western techniques and ingredients. Admired for his humility, warmth, integrity, creativity, passion, and smile, Manish is not only India's culinary icon, he is also our pride.
हिंदुस्तानी हैं, कितना भी फैंसी हो जाएंगे, खाना गर्म चाहिए हमें. No chef can say कि he has learnt everything, because cuisine is हर जगह अलग अलग है, सब कुछ दरअसल में एक डिश की 50 रेसिपी है. तो कैसे बोल सकते हैं कि हमने सीख लिया. आज मेरा तंदूर का जो कौमी है शायद मेरे से 1000 गुना ज्यादा तेज तंदूर में रोटी लगा सकता है, क्योंकि वो रोज करता आ रहा है ये काम. देयर आर सो मेनी टाइम्स गेस्ट गिव यू फीडबैक. लाइक्स एंड डिसलाइक्स सबकी अपने अपनी हो सकती हैं, बट आई एम मेकिंग फूड फॉर समवन एल्स. अगर मैं अपने लिए बना रहा हूँ तो मैं खाना अपने हिसाब से बनाऊंगा, लेकिन वो अपनी पसंद में किसी और के ऊपर नहीं थोप सकता हूँ. इफ यू आर मेकिंग फूड फॉर समवन एल्स. एक बहुत बड़े गेस्ट आए थे, उन्होंने बोला कि व्हाट इज दिस, दिस इज नॉट इंडियन एक्सेंट, दिस इज इंडियन एक्सीडेंट. वंस अपॉन अ टाइम there were food critics and reviewers, but now everyone who's walking inside a restaurant is a reviewer.
Welcome, chef. Thanks for coming to A Delhi Love and for giving Delhiwalas one more iconic place that we can all boast about. We're all very proud of having the Indian Accent.
Thank you so
It first opened in Delhi.
Delhi.
Yeah,
Yes.
then yeah.
2009.
2009, I read. Yes. So tell me, we've always had restaurants in five-star settings, and that is what was associated with fine dining and for Indian food. And the experience was always around a five-star hotel. You've suddenly made Indian cuisine cool all over the world because Indian cuisine was not associated with fine dining initially.
Yes, earlier it was not associated, and in India also fine dining was only in a five-star hotel.
Yeah.
And outside India it was just small restaurants by immigrants or mostly Bangladeshis in London and Europe and all. But it was a cheap, greasy takeaway kind of a food that you eat.
But nothing, not fine dining experience. But how do you actually define fine dining?
I don't know. It's very difficult to define fine dining because it's basically slightly more organized, planned seating, nice setup, nice environment. Spaces between the tables are nice, and service is immaculate, and waiters are well groomed. All these things matters and comes together and makes a fine dining.
And does it also depend on the number of courses which are being served instead?
It depends on not only courses but a type of menus and all. But fine dining can be served in a planned and a refined manner rather than just everything.
So then how is it different from an experience like just going to a good restaurant?
There's no line between that, because nowadays there's something called fine casual, which is a casual, but it's a fine casual. So there are different.
And what is a fine casual? I was going to ask, how is fine dining evolving? And I've never heard of fine casual. So what is it?
Casual is where the environment is not stiff. Okay. It's more fun. It's fine. It's refinement is there, but it's more fun. Sometimes in fine dining you get intimidated also.
Yeah.
But there the environment is more easy, more fun, and more playful. The food is also a little bit of fun, playful. So that kind of it can be fine casual.
So, Manish, you're credited with giving the world and India, of course, the restaurant Indian accent, proudly Indian and totally global in that sense. How did you come up with it? What was the inspiration? You were not in India at that point.
I was not in India, and I was not an Indian chef. I was a pan-Asian chef because I was coming out of college. I worked in a restaurant called Thai Pavilion for 5 years. And then I joined India Habitat Center. And they just opened a restaurant called Oriental Octopus there.
Oh, that was you?
Yeah. So I started Oriental Octopus.
I've been there once in my life and I totally loved it, which was about 20 years back only.
2000.
Yeah, okay.
So Oriental Octopus. So I was heading Oriental Octopus at that time till 2006. Then went to London. I was working in London. We have few restaurants in London. So
we means who?
This company.
Okay.
Called Old World Hospitality at that time. That Chor Bazaar and Broadway Hotel at Asif Ali Road and all. So I was doing work in London. London is such a place where all different cuisines of different countries are represented in a very, very different manner, from hole in a wall to a fine dining restaurant. You have everything. So you had great Indian restaurants by big chefs, winning Michelin star for their Indian restaurant. So there I saw, and I thought that something was missing in India. This kind of a thing is missing in India. So there we did, and my boss Rohit Khattar was opening we took a small property in Friends Colony, that Manor Hotel. So there he was planning to open a restaurant, and I said, if you are planning to open a restaurant, why don't we give me a chance to do that? And he had his name in his mind beforehand.
Achha, that was the
accent.
Achha.
So I said, give me a chance. And first trials I did it in London. He said, you are a pan-Asian chef. I said,
yeah.
Now after so many years, it doesn't matter whether you are a pan-Asian chef or you are a Asian chef. It's been 13 years. You are a chef. I can. So yes. And we started Indian accent 2009. And here we are.
No, but how did you think of what the what would be the menu?
So
And what was the first dish that you made in this Pan Asian blending Western techniques, which you're famous
see,
for?
the Pan Asian, first thing, I was not from traditional Indian kitchen, not trained in a traditional Indian kitchen with ustads and all. So that worked with me as an advantage that I broke all the rules.
Okay.
So for me, like, it's not that chicken tikka you can cook only in tandoor. You can cook chicken tikka in a combi oven also. It's not necessary that dal makhani has to be 24 hours simmered. And in London, I made dal makhani in a pressure cooker also. It worked very well, and nobody can tell that it's made in a pressure cooker. So I broke all the rules. So that really helped me. And knowledge of Pan Asian food, and being an Indian, I know how Indian eat, what kind of a flavor profile they like, because I'm not trained in Indian kitchen, but since childhood I'm eating Indian food. I know Indian food. And how we eat, that was very, very important when we started Indian accent, that if we are doing a plated food, if we are doing course-wise food, or if we are doing a tasting menu, we have to do it in such a manner that it should not play with the way we eat. Like, simple example, if I'll give, a chef planned a restaurant here, and he gave a beautifully presented lobster on his plate, and it went to the table. And the guest even didn't see the presentation. इसके 4 पीस करके ले आना.
अच्छा.
This is a simple example, because in India we don't eat like that. So all these things, keep it in mind. We did it in such a way that how we eat, what kind of a flavor profile we like, because it was a great challenge to open an Indian restaurant in Delhi where you don't have butter chicken on the menu.
Yes.
So people used to walk out of the restaurant.
I believe so, yeah.
ये कैसा रेस्टोरेंट है? आपके यहाँ पापड़ नहीं मिलता है.
I believe so.
आपका बिरयानी नहीं है. So slowly we adapted, we took feedback, and
so I wanted to ask you, what was the first dish that you made in this style?
There were 3-4 dishes which I created in London, and that time one of the topmost food critic of London called Faye Mashler, she used to write for Evening Standard, and one of the most dreaded food critique of her time. I think she was one of the first one to taste that thing in London, because she came and she she knew Rohit, and Rohit invited her that we are just doing some chef. We want to do some trial. We like to taste. So she came, and very sweetly she came, and for her we did first trials in London for this restaurant, and it was fun. It was. I still remember the moili curry with the rice crusted red snapper with moili, then doda barfi treacle tart. These were the iconic dishes from that first menu, which are still there on the menu. Potato spear chaat. So all these things were there on the menu. So we tried all these things.
Reviewers have obviously raved about your food all over the world. How do you best describe your food?
In a simple language, if you close your eyes and eat, it's a completely Indian khana, which you eat in your day-to-day life. But you open your eyes and see doesn't look like Indian khana with a unique combination. So my Indian food is Indian at heart, but global in nature, I would say.
So what is the chef actually appealing to? Directing all the senses? Or are you going for the taste buds or the eyes? Or how do you...
All these things matters in an experience. But one rule from the beginning, that I will never compromise on taste because of a presentation. Because I've seen so many times some of the great dishes, because of the presentation, get compromised. So that was one rule. Second thing is, Hindustani hai, kitna bhi fancy ho jayenge, khana garam chahiye hame. And this type of food, you have to make sure that when it reaches on your table, it should be hot khana. And even a tasting menu, when you plan, एक कोर्स ठंडा खा लेंगे, 2 कोर्स ठंडा खा लेंगे, उससे ज्यादा नहीं, उसके बाद हमें अपना गर्म खाना. So these are small rules which I followed from the beginning. I don't mix 2 cuisine in one dish.
Okay.
So there cannot be a paneer chettinad on my menu.
Okay.
There will never be a paneer chettinad on my menu, or idli in a Kashmiri spices, or dhokla makhni, or these things you will never find on the Indian accent menu. That 2 cuisines of India in one particular.
So you're essentially then what are you doing? You're taking cuisines from one area?
I take cuisines from dishes, not only cuisine, dishes from different areas, and then you start working. Sometimes there are classic combinations, like a blue cheese naan, which is one of our signature dishes.
I wanted to talk about that.
So, why blue cheese and naan? First thing is cheese and bread is a classic combination. Why blue cheese stuffed in a naan? Because blue cheese is too strong for an Indian palate. So when it goes inside the naan in a little quantity and comes hot from the tandoor, then it tones down the
flavor,
pungency of the blue cheese, which is very suitable for Indian palate. So it is different, but it's not offending. So these are
how do you think of all these, different combinations? There is Kanyakumari crabs and exo sauce, Chilean cherries ka golgappa, quinoa dahi bhalla, churan ka karela, then your famous daulat ki chaat. So how are you coming up with these? I mean, are you challenging yourself, or now ki kisi ne challenge kar diya, ab ye karke dikhao?
Sometimes you really, but churan ka karela was one dish, then everybody said, like, who's going to eat karela on the menu? Who's going to pay you? I said, I'll do something that they will eat and they will pay also for it. So we did churan ka karela with the small pieces of prawns into it, and we used to serve it in a beautiful manner. And churan ka karela I ate somewhere in Banaras in somebody's home. So karela was all, see, everybody has some kind of a good or bad memories of karela in there. So and karela is again one of the very challenging ingredient for a chef in a restaurant. So it came out very well, and now churan ka karela was on a small piece of rice. Papad was there on the opening menu of Bombay restaurant, and my boss was saying, "Pehle menu mein karela kyun dal rahe ho? Nahi aayega pasand logon ko." Said, "Rehne dijiye." And that became very, very popular, and everybody because it surprises you, karela, and then you eat it, you like it. Oh my God, I've never eaten that type of karela.
Okay.
So this is that.
Then another thing that you have at Indian Accent is the wine, and pairing that with Indian food. That's very unusual. And
from when we started Indian Accent, this was one of the thing which we really wanted to do. That the first wine list was planned by one of the topmost wine sommelier of his time in London, called Charles Metcalfe. And he was working with us in Chor Bazaar in London for a very long time. So we called him to do the wine pairing menu for us and to create a wine list. And now we are very proud of our wine list, that we have almost 150 labels on.
I was looking at on the website.
And the best part is all of them available. In Delhi, you can put 300 labels on your wine list, but usme se 50 available hongi. But we make sure that if it is there on a wine list, it has to be available. You can buy it in a restaurant. So we are very proud, and it's a myth that Indian food cannot be paired with wines and all, because उधर में पहले खाने में तेल ज्यादा है या मिर्ची ज्यादा है, इसलिए आप नहीं कर सकते वाइन के साथ में पेयर. ऐसा कि हमारे घर में कभी मिर्ची वाला खाना नहीं बनता है, हमारे घर में तेल वाला खाना नहीं बनता है. आई डोंट थिंक सो एनी मदर मेड तेल वाला खाना फॉर और मिर्ची वाला खाना. साथ में किसी को चाहिए होता है, वो ले लेते हैं. सो आवर फूड इज द स्पाइसेस, द level of chilies and everything is what is घर का जो होता है level. And that really helped me to take out the real flavor of dishes, ingredients and spices in such a way that it can be easily paired with wines. And sometimes wine really complement the food, and sometimes food really complements the wine. So it works out.
You've also spoken of doing very difficult combinations which are hard to pair, like the lobsters and Kashmiri haq.
जी.
So this
So
was
haq is such a delicate thing.
Yes.
It's such a delicate thing. और चावल के साथ इतना अच्छा जाता है कि haq और चावल का again a classic.
Now there can't be a simpler combination, but very difficult.
Very difficult.
Yeah.
And haq is one of the very simple dish to make, but जितनी simple होती है उतनी ही ज़्यादा मुश्किल होती है बनाने में, correct balance flavor, and so delicate. And lobster itself is very delicate with the sweet meat, so it goes very well with the जरा सा हींग और लाल मिर्च. हाक में और कुछ नहीं होता.
ना हाक में तो कुछ और होता नहीं है. Yeah, correct.
हल्का सरसों का तेल, हींग और.
So then the lobster is also cooked with that.
Lobster is cooked in butter separately.
Okay.
So and it's on a bed of haq, and then you pour the hot haq.
Oh my God! Okay, my mouth is watering.
So that was the combination, but it was so difficult to execute in a busy restaurant. ये तसल्ली वाली डिश थी. तो कुछ काफी दिनों तक हम लोगों ने चलाया इसको. उसके बाद हम लोग का था कि इतने ज्यादा ऑर्डर आए कि हम लोग एग्जीक्यूट करने में बड़ी मुश्किल होती है.
Okay.
All these things are very delicate. So now we do it on a special occasion, like special menus and all. We do this. Okay. Not on a regular basis.
Or somebody has to place in an order that you can do that also.
Want that because ये सारी चीजें होती है कि लेकिन you can do number of portions. उसके बाद खत्म.
So I was apparently when the restaurant started, Indian customers were taken aback by the presentation of the food, the concept of plating, so to say, till they ate and they realized it's Indian food. But you also said it, and we know that on sadhya, for example, plating is always done. You've also spoken about, that temples meat was always done, but the concept was so it's not a new concept for us.
Absolutely.
But so how did you think of bringing this concept back?
Not. Whether sadhya देख लें या किसी तरह की थाली देख लें, हर की अपनी अपनी जगह होती है.
गुजराती थाली सब करेक्ट.
हर का अपना अपना जगह होती है थाली के ऊपर में. So it's like it means somebody has thought about it. Somebody has thought about the positioning, color combination on the plate, everything they have thought of. So where it got lost, I really don't understand where it got lost somewhere. Maybe the restaurants have dominated so much that it got lost somewhere, and big bowls of curries and everything started coming. We used to pay so much attention on textures of the food. कि हाँ पापड़ भी है साथ में, कोई खीरा या प्याज भी है साथ में. That gives a different texture in your mouth. But slowly it all. So when we used to have all these things, why can't we get all these things? And in a dish, why can't you taste a texture and a quality of meat or a quality of cuts of vegetables or a meat? सारी वेजिटेबल का हलवा ना बना हुआ हो, कि सारी वेजिटेबल मैशअप हो गई हो. सब्जी का गोभी अगर खा रहे हैं तो गोभी का थोड़ा सा टेक्सचर होना चाहिए. So all these things which we did, and people like
you were mentioning that customers walked away after seeing the menu when Indian Accent first opened, and now the restaurant of course is a success. When we have I think when people come in for Delhi, I always get requests that can you please book us over there. And would you say that the Indian customer has now evolved to allow for a newer and wider range of food experience?
Absolutely. Now everybody's palate is became more adventurous. People are traveling to different parts of the world so easily. Social media, internet, everybody knows now. Not only palate has become adventurous, the guest has become more knowledgeable about ingredients. आज से 5 साल पहले किसी को ये नहीं होता स्कैलप क्या होता है, ट्रफल क्या होता है. आज किसी भी रेस्टोरेंट में चले जाए, फ्राइज ट्रफल फ्राइज मिल रही हैं. शायद किसी ने ट्रफल देखा, लेकिन एवरीबडी नो एग्जैक्टली क्या चीज है और क्यों है. So they have become more knowledgeable. They see these things, so they want. When they see these things all over the world, they want all these things. So demand उसकी वजह से भी बहुत ज्यादा है. And but we always make sure that whenever a guest come to Indian Accent, we give him such an experience that वो दोबारा वापस लौट के आए. That's
See,
the
we've been talking in the context of Indian accent and your work with it. But, frankly, the dining experience will be similar to many restaurants and customers. What do you think as a chef, how much do you need to understand the guest's psyche? And, what is the guest today looking for?
This is the most important thing, and that is one of the successes of Indian accent, that we, I think, strike a correct balance between modern traditional के बीच का जो बैलेंस होता है. I think we managed to strike that balance in a correct way कि किस लेवल तक जाना है और कहाँ रुक जाना है. मतलब कि कैसा भी खाना खाएं, खासकर हम दिल्ली में हैं या बॉम्बे में हैं, एक फेमिलियरिटी रहनी चाहिए उसके साथ में. अगर हम हिंदुस्तानी खाना खा रहे हैं तो उसका एक फेमिलियरिटी रहनी चाहिए, जो कि हम वी मेक श्योर दैट फेमिलियरिटी, बिट ऑफ अ नॉस्टैल्जिया वो रहे, कि किसी चीज को आपको याद दिला रहा है या आपने फेमिलियर सी चीज है, भले दिखने में अलग है, कॉम्बिनेशन अलग है, लेकिन टेस्ट मेरे फेमिलियर है, उससे कंफर्ट लेवल बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ जाता है. तो ये बहुत जरूरी है. दिस इज द बैलेंस वी मैनेज टू स्ट्राइक, एंड दैट इज व्हाई आई थिंक पीपल फील कि बाहर से कोई आता है उसको लगता है हाँ इंडियन है मगर डिफरेंट है, और यहाँ वाला भी है उसको भी लगता है हाँ इंडियन है लेकिन डिफरेंट है.
So it's very much, it's sounding like how we describe Delhi. We are modern, yet we have such a strong sense of tradition and heritage with us. Yeah.
कितने मैं अपने गेस्टों से मिला हूँ जो बोलते हैं जब हम एयरपोर्ट से पहली बार टैक्सी से निकलते हैं, बेटा इट्स अ chaos, कैसे रहते हैं लोग यहाँ पे, लेकिन अगले दिन 2-3 दिन के बाद we start loving it. So this is what is Indian accent also.
Yeah.
अगर आप, बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि लोग अपने पेरेंट्स को लेकर आते हैं, उनको होता है, अगर मेरे फादर नहीं है लेकिन अगर मेरे फादर आते बोलते 8,000 रुपए में खिलाते क्या हो तुम, मैं तो कभी नहीं आऊं तुम्हारे यहाँ. So, ऐसे बहुत सारे गेस्ट होते हैं जो अपने पेरेंट्स को लेके आते हैं. दे सेंड देयर पेरेंट्स फॉर देयर anniversaries and all from abroad. They book a table and कि आप जाइए क्या वहां पे मैंने बुक किया है, and when they come and they get surprised and then they start enjoying it, that's the joy, that's the happiness you get.
Tell me, have you ever felt as a chef to modify your menu, and is that even advisable, or can a chef be adamant कि मैं तो यही सर्व करूंगा, पसंद मैंने तो सोच लिया बस?
दुनिया में बहुत सारे शेफ हैं जो इस टाइप का. I am quite open to suggestions. My kitchen is quite democratic kind of a kitchen. I come up with the idea, I devise a dish, and then we talk to each other, and अगर किसी का कोई सही सजेशन है और वैलिड है तो we incorporate it. Guest feedback, there are so many times guests give you feedback about something that yes you can.
You're open that way.
Absolutely open. See, likes and dislikes सबकी अपने अपनी हो सकती हैं, but I am making food for someone else. अगर मैं अपने लिए बना रहा हूँ तो मैं खाना अपने हिसाब से बनाऊंगा. शायद मेरे को नमक ज्यादा पसंद हो या खट्टा ज्यादा पसंद हो, लेकिन वो अपनी पसंद में किसी और के ऊपर नहीं थोप सकता हूँ. If you are making food for someone else, so I'm completely open about it.
Do you take suggestions? Has somebody ever given?
Why not? Yeah. There are so many times हमारी डिश खाने के बाद गेस्ट ने अपने घर से चीजें भेजी है कि
अच्छा
ये सॉस ये वाली देखिए.
अच्छा.
That's fine.
And you're open to it.
Absolutely open to that. There is always scope. See, no chef can say that he has learnt everything. Because cuisine is हर जगह अलग अलग है, सब कुछ. There are so एक डिश की 50 रेसिपी है, तो कैसे बोल सकते हैं कि हमने सीख लिया? You have to learn always.
So how do you keep up this I mean you're learning and constantly?
I read now I read a lot. I have got a great collection of books. I collect a lot of books, and I not only collect, I keep updating it every month. At least I buy 2-3 books whichever coming in the market, Indian, international, जो भी होती है. And I see अब इंटरनेट आ गया है, but I still believe in book, not on internet for my recipes and all. And then you think, when इतने साल एक्सपीरियंस है तो you start thinking, कभी कोई चीज एकदम से नजर आ जाती है कि इसका कुछ किया जा सकता है, इससे कुछ बनाया जा सकता है, अच्छा इसको चेंज करके इसमें ये करा जा सकता है, तो ये सारी चीजें होती हैं.
आपकी your relationship with Rohit Khattar, he's one of the, called one of the big 10 of the food and beverage industry. Now that relationship has survived for decades.
23 and a half years.
23. And so how important was he, his buy-in to your vision? I always feel that, in life you build up a collaboration or you build a community, and for you have a community now. And how did this collaboration work for you?
See, when I joined this company in 2000, I was a junior sous chef, just worked. This was my second job. This is my second job, I would say. And he was one of the biggest support from the beginning, from the Oriental Octopus days, that you do, I am behind you. And opening Indian Accent with a pan-Asian chef in a new hotel was a great risk, which he took, and he supported. And in the beginning, we used to do bad business. Like sometimes lunch में एक भी cover नहीं होता था. And क्योंकि एक तो restaurant नया था, Friends Colony.
It was very, it was way off also, yeah.
रात में कोई फोन कर रहा है, हम डिफेंस कॉलोनी में खड़े हुए हैं, हम न्यू फ्रेंड्स कॉलोनी मार्केट पे खड़े हुए हैं, कहाँ है आपका, मिल नहीं रहा है. सो ऑल दीज थिंग्स यूज्ड टू हैपन. बट ही वाज, होता है कि यू नहीं चल रहा है रेस्टोरेंट, बंद करो, कुछ और खोलेंगे. बट नहीं, ही सपोर्टेड, ही रियली सपोर्टेड. जो 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 की सेल से शुरू होके धीरे धीरे बढ़ते गए. एंड हियर वी आर. एंड नॉट ओनली अबाउट कि मैं सपोर्ट कर रहा हूँ. I have eaten in one of the best restaurants in the world because of Rohit Khattar. Oh, he used to send us. I still remember when we were starting in London in 2006. सारे हम लोग 4-5 शेफ थे. हम लोग go eat in Fat Duck in Bray and Western Blumenthal restaurant, which is like almost like for 5 people, it will be like 2,000 pounds at that point of time. So it was jana ana wine pairing ke saath mein aap aaye to 2,000 pounds, like a lot of money. So he always supported, always kept, we are behind you.
Did you feel nahi chalega the restaurant? Were you like
disappointment to बहुत होती थी, like sometimes you never used to. कभी guest आते थे, कभी एक बहुत बड़े गेस्ट आए थे, उन्होंने बोला कि व्हाट इज दिस इज नॉट इंडियन एक्सेंट, दिस इज इंडियन एक्सीडेंट. सो तो यू फील लाइक अब तो खत्म, सब कुछ खत्म. इतना बड़ा आदमी ने आके बोला है कि तो एक्सीडेंट हो गया है. तो बट इट हैपेंड. सो बट ही सपोर्टेड एंड आई आल्सो लाइक कि करते हैं. एंड बटर चिकन कभी नहीं सर्व किया.
And you went bigger, like from Friends Colony, you moved to the center of the city at Lodi Hotel. Yeah,
that was because of this alcohol ban, that highway alcohol ban. There was a highway alcohol ban.
Yeah.
Mathura Road
was a highway. Yes,
highway.
Of course.
For 6 months, we were not serving alcohol.
Okay.
Because that boutique property, even I missed sometimes, because it was small,
very pretty,
cozy boutique place. But Lodi is again a beautiful place, and you are in the heart of the city now.
True. Another thing I wanted to, which I was curious about, is the concept of which you've explored, and that's another way of collaborating, are pop-ups. And this is, almost like a whole new trend you've done in different cities also.
Different cities, different countries, everywhere. I think दिल्ली शहर में इस टाइप का शेफ्स का कोलैबोरेशन 4 hands, आई थिंक सबसे पहला इंडियन एक्सेंट ने 2014 में किया था. फिनलैंड का एक शेफ था, शेफ समूली, एंड ही केम टू इंडिया एंड ही डिड 3 days pop-up in Indian accent. Then I went to Finland and did in his restaurant.
And what was it called?
Postres. It was 1 Michelin star restaurant in Finland. तो 2014, I think उस समय किसी को पता भी नहीं होता होगा pop-up होता है. So 2014 was very, very early, and I think उसी समय we did a little bit of cooking, me, Gagan, and very famous chef from Sri Lanka called Darshan Munidasa. तो वो crab का जो famous है उसका restaurant. So उसके यहाँ से from that time 2014 we started collaborating and started doing. Now everybody is doing it.
Yeah.
But 2014 we started doing.
I mean, how long would a pop-up like this last for it to have some kind of an impact?
1 day, 2 day, but
Okay.
last year we did for a month in Singapore. So that the term changes, it becomes residency. So we did almost for a month. We did it.
And what would it be called?
It's an Indian accent residency.
Okay, nice.
At Mandala Club.
And when you do you've also done it in Bangalore, I believe.
Everywhere.
Then it's a 1 day pop-up.
It's 2 days. Bangalore we did.
And so people would have to book
yes.
Okay, another thing that, along with pop-ups is this tasting menu thing. How did, that concept come about? Is it about increasing a customer reach?
It's not about the thing is tasting menu. The idea behind tasting menu when we started in 2009 was to do a menu in such a way that a person, especially जो Indian खाना होता है कि हमारे portions इतने बड़े होते हैं, अगर 2 लोग खाना खा रहे हैं, 3 लोग खाना खा रहे हैं, they cannot order so many things. और खाने का शौकीन होता है तो उसको, मेरे को भी लगता है कि if I am going, हम कहीं जा रहे हैं तो 4-5 चीजें टेस्ट करें, बट वो होता है कि इतनी ऑर्डर करके वेस्ट करना है या पैसे इतने ज्यादा खर्चा करना. सो टेस्टिंग मेन्यू गिव्स यू द होल overall view of the menu, the philosophy of chef behind that menu and behind that food, and the complete experience of the restaurant. So utne mein, like now in tasting menu we serve around, I think, 17 to 19 things in one tasting menu if I count from the beginning. सब कुछ मिला के 17 से 18 चीजें आप एक मेन्यू में टेस्ट कर रहे हैं. You can never order, and especially for one person, it's a win-win situation, because in one tasting menu he can try so many things,
and then can also encourage a second visit, na, to choose
absolutely.
it.
And tasting menu is like again a theater. It has to keep on changing. It has to keep on changing. I cannot come for one tasting menu again and again. I have to go, and Bukhara is the only restaurant which can
do the
have the same menu
forever.
Because it's an icon.
It's an
icon. Nobody else can pull that off.
So how often would you change this?
Tasting menu 2 months, 2.5 months.
And do you go seasonally also?
We try to. At the moment, mango is going on, so few mangoes are there. So we try to keep it as seasonal as possible. सर्दियों में थोड़ा सा नॉर्थ इंडिया का इन्फ्लुएंस ज्यादा रहता है, गर्मियों में थोड़ा सा गुजरात, साउथ, ये सब ज्यादा आ जाता है. तो
one thing I wanted to ask, see, clothing designers, fashion designers have, a lot of them now have moved or added a Pret line to a couture line. And is there a space like that for Indian accent to explore, or is that even a fair question for me to ask considering it's fine dining?
I don't know. Maybe we can explore something in the future.
Yeah, for more people to be able to,
We did Comarin in Gurgaon. We did Comarin in Gurgaon, but the fear was that people should not feel that it's a poor man's Indian accent.
Yes, so it has to be different. Right?
So we kept it totally different. That Comarin, the menu, when I did the Comarin menu, I've enjoyed it more than Indian accent also, because Indian accent you are tied up in few locations. There are lines. Comarin, it can be playful. It can be really, really go wild. But so Comarin I really enjoyed, and again a very, very different kind of a menu of Comarin and a different experience.
And how involved are you at Comarin?
I do the menus and food and everything. And for everything of Comarin, the food, menu planning, the dishes, trials, and everything is done by me.
So, you were talking about your passion for books, and you read a lot, you said. And, you have a collection. I was reading somewhere about 1,500 books, and you've also
to 1,500.
You've also written books.
One
book. And so what was the idea of coming up with an Indian accent restaurant cookbook? Was it, again, to make it more accessible for people to be able to, can they emulate these recipes on their own?
First, the idea was that now your restaurant is there, it should have a cookbook. I think every restaurant in India should start a at least start at attempt to do a Dampok or Bukhara or Bombay Canteen, Mask. Everybody should start because that way you can have a legacy of the restaurant. Second thing is the type of book which we did. I think that was one of the first kind in because
how so?
First thing, photography of that book, we asked Rohit Chawla to do that photography, and Rohit Chawla is a tough person to
yes.
yeah. And so we did with Rohit Chawla, and again, dishes, Indian accent dishes were very, very different. So, and we did it in such a way that from one dish you can take 2-3 out dishes and you can make at your place easily. But it was a difficult thing. That time I realized like writing a book is 1,000 times more difficult than cooking food.
Achha. And what kind of feedback did you get?
People really liked the book. People really enjoyed that book. And it became like a good coffee table plus a recipe book. So now maybe second Indian accent book or Combrand book.
I was just going to ask that. Is that a Combrand book? More fun? Speaking of accessibility and, Instagram has given a platform to a range of new voices, and your blue cheese naan apparently became viral even, I think, before Instagram Day. That time Instagram was, what do you think of Instagram as a platform for viral food trends? Everybody just puts, there's so much which is on there. Now, what do you think of that?
See, for fun, it's perfect. It's perfect. But now there are no lines. But sometimes you come up with a dosa ice cream or something on the Instagram. But again, it's there for 2 days, 3 days.
Yes.
After that, it's going to disappear. So I don't think. And for me, there are chefs who were quite skeptical about Instagram. People coming and taking photograph, and I'm okay with that because. It's a free marketing. So if somebody is really liking and putting it in Instagram and 100 people are seeing it, why not? Why not?
What is more important for a chef, a critic, a food reviewers, what he writes about it, or a customer's feedback?
Honestly speaking, once upon a time, there were food critics and reviewers. But now everyone who's walking inside a restaurant is a reviewer, and he has maybe have a larger reach than a famous food critic.
Because of these platforms.
He has more reach than a famous food critic who writes for a popular newspaper or something, which I don't know how many people read. But this guy can 1 million like that. It goes like that. So now everybody is a reviewer. So you have to make sure that everybody who walks inside your restaurant is, and sometimes we even don't know when we see the review or a post, then we realize, ye aadmi aaya tha aur ye to इसने तो ये खाया था, ये हमें पता भी नहीं होता है. And he comes, yesterday only I got on a Facebook, some foreigner, he came and he had, I think, 1.5 million followers and all. He put a thing and started notification aane shuru ho gaye because everybody is tagging your name. So notification. And you don't know कि कब फिर बाद में पता अच्छा ये तो उस दिन आया था, ये तो खाना खाया था इस.
I mean, Instagram, of course, now everybody can take a pretty picture. And, a lot of people can call themselves food reviewers, or because a pretty picture is now possible with all the fancy phones. But, I know how important research is for you. We've traveled to Bastar together, and where you went in the interiors.
And the best part is that time I said that one thing is there which I want to use it on my.
Yes, I was going to. Yes.
Faray.
Yes.
And you won't believe. Yesterday I saw Mask new menu. Faray is there on the menu. And I was talking to Jatin for Tres. Tres is one of my favorite restaurants in Delhi. So. He was with me and I was talking. So I said, "ये तो pasta की तरह डाल सकते तुम अपने यहाँ. It's a gluten free and a fantastic thing and Indian."
Yes.
So there are thousands of gems in India which can come up like this and become like superstars. There
Yeah.
are thousands of
Do you spend a lot of time on research then?
I try
Yeah.
as much as I can.
Mm.
As-
But one issue with using Indian products, which we spoke about when we were in Bastar also, is that the supply chains. You were like, that it will need a lot of government support and this thing. Like now the government is pushing millets, so it's kind of more accessible all
True,
over the place.
true.
But there is so much. Like another thing we had spoken about from the Chhattisgarh example is mahua. We spoke so much, and I did try. In fact, I tried something when we did that pop up to do something with mahua, but it is difficult to. So that is a challenge which I think we need support.
Absolutely, we just have to do it in a slightly. See, one example which I can give you is makhana. That now makhana has become such a big thing. बिहार में करीब कोई जानता भी नहीं था मखाना क्या होता है और आज मखाना you go to any fancy stores you'll get makhana you get makhana in Whole Foods in New York you get makhana there it's gluten free and it's rich in iron it's all these things is vegan and all so there are hundreds of things if it just get like fare you get a packed gnocchi like Italian gnocchi everywhere. Why can't we do a packed fare and make it a gluten-free pasta kind of a thing?
Right from the forests of India.
Right from the forest of Chhattisgarh. So there are thousands of things you can do.
So tell me another, I wanted to ask you like to use a lot of everyday ingredients in your cooking. And is there a dish that you thought would not succeed but eventually became a standout on the menu when you were experimenting?
Many things like Churan ka Karela is one such thing which then
that to other people doubted. What did you doubt yourself? Ki kar leta hu, but
see, weird things. We have done a lot of weird things. Nobody can think of a Chyawanprash cheesecake.
Oh yes, I mean, so I can't even imagine.
Even I can't even imagine now. That was one of the first menus. Like when you go wild.
Yes.
So that was like
healthy dessert.
There you have to draw a line somewhere. The moment you cross that line, this thing comes up and it sounds weird. जबकि उसमें च्यवनप्राश का कुछ नहीं, हल्का सा ग्लेज लगाते थे हम लोग. It was a nice baked New York style cheesecake with a glaze of a च्यवनप्राश.
And the च्यवनप्राश was market sourced, or you would create that?
No, market source. Yeah.
Oh, but that's bitter.
We used to have a guy who used to make it. Not the packed ones, not the packed ones. We used to have a guy who used to घर में पुराने जमाने का जो होता है वो घर में बना के तो वो च्यवनप्राश लगाते थे. It was but more you think about it, it's weird.
Yes.
So sometimes you cross the line.
But then with names like this, how do you explain to a guest who's not Indian? There's a menu.
So when we do the tasting menu, when we plan the menu, and before that we make a spiel sheet that what with all the culinary jargons we give it to all our server. We train them कि भाई अगर च्यवनप्राश कोई पूछेगा तो क्या बताओगे कि क्या है ये च्यवनप्राश कि हाँ ऐसा है या आयुर्वेदा मेडिसिन है और ये है. So we do all these things for every menu we do.
You as a chef and somebody who started given Indian food this global signature, were there any myths about Indian food you needed to be like, which were the most paramount about?
सारी तो myths है. अभी तो अब सारी myths है हमारे खाने के बारे में. Like even in India we don't know our food.
True, yeah.
Even in India we don't. अब तो फिर भी बहुत क्लैरिटी आ गई है लोगों के दिमाग में. तो हम लोग बचपन में थे तो हमें साउथ इंडियन फूड सिर्फ इडली
डोसा ही पड़ा था और एक ही साउथ इंडियन फूड है कहीं से भी
वही होता था. बल्कि हम लोग को लगता नहीं था कि साउथ इंडियन इसके अलावा भी कुछ खाते होंगे. तो हम लोग छोटे थे क्योंकि गिनती के 2 रेस्टोरेंट थे, एक
दासा प्रकाश
और जहाँ पे आदमी जाके खाना खाता था और वो करके वो यही चलता था. लेकिन South is a totally different ball game.
Yeah. And how many states in the South?
That's what I'm saying. तो हमारे लिए तो सब मध्य प्रदेश के नीचे सब साउथ हो जाता था क्योंकि हमने कोई इडली खाते हैं, डोसा खाते हैं, सांभर खाते हैं और कुछ नहीं होता है. बट देयर इज सो मच ऑफ डाइवर्सिटी कि एक जगह का सांभर दूसरी जगह के सांभर से भी नहीं मिलता है. एक रीजन का सांभर भी दूसरे जगह के सांभर से फर्क है. सो दैट इज द थिंग व्हिच वी डोंट नो. सो इंडियन फूड इज ऑल अबाउट मिथ्स. And that was the reason why हमारी cuisine आगे नहीं बढ़ पाई. Because उस्ताद लोग सिखाते नहीं थे किसी को. I've seen few उस्ताद जो दो चीजें छुपा लेते थे.
Really?
हाँ. तो उस्ताद लोग सिखाते नहीं थे किसी को. फिर बाकी जो cuisines थी, जो अच्छा खाना था, टेम्पल फूड था, वो सब वहीं का वहीं रह के वो बाहर नहीं निकला. सो बहुत सारी चीजों की वजह से. एंड दूसरी चीज के दूसरा ना सीख जाए तो इंटिमिडेट करो कि इसमें तो 128 मसाले गए. मैंने कहा कोई अगर 128 मसालों का नाम बता दे मेरे को, मैं मान जाऊंगा.
Speaking of ustads, what advice do you give if young chefs today come to you? How do we start? What do we do?
First thing, don't get intimidated and give time. Give time. It takes time to sharpen your skill. It's a skilled job. It's not.
And it'll take practice.
It'll take practice. आज मेरा तंदूर का जो कौमी है, शायद मेरे से 1000 गुना ज्यादा तेज तंदूर में रोटी लगा सकता है, क्योंकि वो रोज करता आ रहा है ये काम. हाँ, लेकिन तंदूर की कोई डिश प्लान करनी है तो शायद वो नहीं कर पाएगा. तो प्रैक्टिस. तो आई टेल देम दिस इज द स्किल. और दो चीजें जो मेरे को बहुत दुख है कि मैं पैन एशियन और इंडियन में रह के अभी तक परफेक्ट नहीं कर पाया. दिमसुम बनाना,
अच्छा,
और एक तंदूर मास्टरी करना, वो नहीं. बिकॉज इट टेक्स लोड्स ऑफ टाइम एंड प्रैक्टिस एंड इयर्स. तो दिमसुम आज भी मैं शेप बनाऊंगा तो घोड़ा बनाऊंगा तो कुत्ता बनेगा.
अच्छा.
तो इस टाइप से होएगा. बट वो भी नहीं कर पाया. अंदर का मिक्सचर सब तरीके का बना, लेकिन शेप में फिर वो गड़बड़ हो जाएगी.
Tell me, this was always a passion for you? Food?
No, I will not say like.
So you studied
hotel management. I went to hotel management because.
And where did you go?
IHM Mumbai. That was one of the best at that time. I don't know how I got admission, but yeah. So IHM Mumbai was a place where I went, and वहाँ जाने के बाद the kitchen is the most interesting and most innovative thing where you can go and where you can do something of your own. So that is how.
And what do you want to do next?
At the moment, I really don't know. Let's see.
It's a question somebody asked me also. I'm like, I have to think now. Is that the age? But, okay. So, when we were researching on you, we were talking in office and a lot of questions came about. So you can just think of it as a rapid fire and give me how much of a Delhiite do you consider yourself now?
I am coming to Delhi from 1980 because my mother's side used to be, नानी का घर दिल्ली में होता था. I'm from Patna. I'm from Bihar. So 80 से बचपन से आ रहे थे. And दो चीजें होती थी पटना से. पहली चीज तो यहाँ के बटर चिकन खाना है, निर्लास का पिज्जा खाना है.
एंड बटर चिकन कहाँ खाते थे?
बटर चिकन काके द होटल कनॉट प्लेस में. फिर सोना रूपा रेस्टोरेंट हुआ करता था जनपद पे, तो वहाँ, और मद्रास कॉफी हाउस में डोसा. एंड दीज वर चाट हो गई. कमला नगर में चाट खानी है, वैष्णव चाट भंडार की चाट खानी है. सो कमला नगर में भी मामा लोग रहते थे, इधर भी रहते थे. तो शालीमार बाग, दरियागंज में हमारे मासी की दुकान होती थी, रेस्टोरेंट होता था, नोवेल्टी रेस्टोरेंट के नाम से. बहुत पुराना होता था. अब तो नहीं है, अब नहीं है. अंसारी रोड के ऊपर. तो बचपन से वहां जाते थे.
That was part of my constituency. Dariaganj was part of my this thing. So I know.
जो गुलचा के सामने जो अंसारी रोड थी, तो वहां पे नोवेल्टी रेस्टोरेंट, तो वहां जाके वहां का कीमा मटर खाना है. सो ऑल दिस बड़ा एक्साइटमेंट रहता था. बचपन से आ ही रहे थे. सो और नाउ इट्स बीन 1994 my father bought a house here. तब से यहाँ पे है 2010.
But Patna is quite this, or should I say Bihar, quite a hub for male chefs who come from there. Chef Atul, I was talking the other day.
Bukhara chef JP Singh is from Bihar.
Yeah.
So I always tell कि इंडिया के जो दो रेस्टोरेंट्स लोग बोलते हैं,
सबसे दोनों ही वहाँ, दोनों के शेफ बिहार से. एक अब वहाँ से एक्टर्स आ रहे हैं और शेफ्स आ रहे हैं. अच्छा, what's the one dish you recommend people must try in your restaurants? One dish, if they have to have only one. Must try. Then I would say Delhi wala to potato spear chaat. That I find
one of the perfect dishes which we created at Indian Accent.
What is it?
It's a chaat with the crispy potatoes and white pea mash, मटर के साथ में चटनी दही, थोड़ा से कचालू भी है उसके अंदर में, काला चाट मसाला भी उसके अंदर में.
Acha, what's the dish that you've created that you're most proud of?
Getting Daulat ki chaat in a restaurant, I think that is, I really feel that that was one of the hidden gems. जो
Of
कि
Delhi.
it's still not given. When we started in New York in 2016 and Michelin was coming up with a Michelin website, it's of New York Michelin website, and one of the first videos they shot was Daulat ki chaat. We call it Makhan Malai there.
Okay. How do you describe Daulat ki chaat? What all does it have?
It's just flavored aerated milk. It's nothing. It's a magic. Like there is no egg, there is no chemical, there is nothing. It's just aerated milk. झाग है, एक फोम है खाली, जो कि 150 साल से हो रहा है. आज सारे शेफ लोग फोम, डस्ट, स्मोक ये सब करते हैं. वो 150 साल से बेचारा साइकिल में बेच रहे हैं वो.
Acha, what's your take on Delhi? How would you describe Delhi if I ask you?
For me, एक हफ्ते बाद I have to come back to Delhi. चाहे वो बॉम्बे हो, चाहे वो कहीं और हो, I have to come back to Delhi. It's a comfort zone. I feel very comfortable, I would say. And Delhi is, अब जो दिल्ली वाला है, वो दिल्ली वाला, उसको वो comfort अच्छा लगता है. सारी जगह बाहर अच्छी लगती है, but you have to come back to Delhi.
I think that's my thing also.
Pollution है, ये है, वो है, ये सब है.
Acha, what's one ingredient you're currently obsessed with?
There are a few ingredients. One is coconut. I find coconut, I don't know why, but coconut, दिल्ली में लोग coconut उतना ज़्यादा पसंद नहीं करते हैं, but coconut is one such thing. I find it a very, very diverse kind of an ingredient, which from the starter to the dessert, you can create anything from coconut.
Yeah, true. And Acha, so everyone has their comfort food. What is your go-to dish when you need like something?
Regular. दाल चावल तो regular है, but if 2 o'clock at night, Maggie.
Maggie? Who cooks?
I make my own Maggie. I don't write it.
You're very particular.
किसी और के हाथ की Maggie नहीं खाते हैं.
Acha, tell me, how do you unwind after a long day in the kitchen? Any particular, or like, you might say, I don't like unwinding, but do you any movies,
yes,
books?
Movies.
You're a movie buff?
Movie.
Well, yeah. What do you like watching?
रात में तो कभी 10th day के बाद तो Hindi dubbed South Indian movie will be fun. You watch it for 45 minutes. That Ravi Teja or Junior NTR movie, you are happy. You go back to sleep.
Acha, tell me, what is the one ingredient you always have in your fridge?
Oyster sauce. Always.
Okay, and Acha, when you eat something in another restaurant, do you ask for the recipe or do you try to figure out ki kaise banaya, what have they used?
I don't ask for the recipe. I try to figure out. But most of the time, if something is really, really good, there are hundreds of times it happened with me that पहली चीज मैंने क्यों नहीं सोचा ये? That is the thing.
Would you compliment the chefs?
Always. If something is really good, why not? But मैंने क्यों नहीं सोचा ये चीज? Such a great thing.
Yeah.
So
what has been an experience when somebody has called you to compliment the chef or something? Do you come out and meet the guests? What is the best thing somebody has said to you?
I want to take you home.
Oh.
That's it.
Acha, why do you think Indian accent, works well in Delhi now? Is there a Delhi trait that has helped it? We were talking it almost, when we in the beginning we were saying that how you describe Indian accent is how I would describe Delhi. Do you think that's why it's worked? Because we are this mix of tradition and modernity, and the restaurant is actually complementing that.
I think that is the thing. Like even if you're going to a new environment, you become comfortable. That is what Indian accent is like. In the beginning, you might get intimidated, but then you start liking it. So that is what Indian accent.
And that's the same
That's the same about Delhi, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. It was really great having you. And I kind of think we've only touched the tip of the iceberg. We've talked about Indian accent and how you started that, but there is so much more about Indian cooking and food that I would like to talk to you about. And I definitely think will be a part 2 when we have to get you back again and we have to. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
As the quintessential Delhi girl, I love Indian food and talking about it. Manish Mehrotra has changed the landscape of Indian fine dining in India and made Indian food cool worldwide. He has been open to trying new things, and what makes him so interesting is that he's still learning from India's diversity. I think there's something of a call of action there for all of us, that we can keep exploring and developing ourselves just by finding out more and more about our country. And that's what we're trying to do here through A Delhi Love. Join us next time as we explore Delhi's hidden gems, people, places and stories on Delhi Love, Ishq Mohabbat Pyar. I'm Yasmin Kidwai. Until next time.